With the Digital Services Act in place, the legal environment in Europe is going to be ever more hostile to free speech because it's a backdoor to allowing European bureaucracy to spread its tentacles inside the social media companies so that they can do their bidding. Elon Musk has just taken Twitter out of the European Union's voluntary code of practice on disinformation. And the response from the European Union's Internal Market Commissioner, Thierry Breton, was to tell Elon in a tweet that you can run, but you can't hide. According to Monsieur Breton, the European Union's Digital Services Act will arm the European Commission to go after companies like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube if they believe that they're failing to adequately police misinformation or disinformation. So I had a look at the Digital Services Act, and actually it's just an absolute nightmare to read, full of legal niceties. But the bottom line is that the Digital Services Act requires large social media companies like Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube to furnish the European Commission with annual or periodic reports on their risk mitigation strategies and on the steps they're taking to fight various forms of misinformation, hate speech, and so forth. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Digital Services Act is that it authorizes the European Commission to declare a crisis, and in the event of declaring such a crisis, then they can require companies like Twitter to take action against information that is deemed to pose a threat to public health or security. We've been down this path already. We've just lived through 2 years of public crises and emergencies where governments and social media companies have gone after individuals, have shut down their accounts. I was one of the people whose accounts were shut down in the name of protecting the public against harmful or misleading information. Much of that information that was censored, we now know was absolutely on the money concerning the lack of efficacy of population-wide masking, concerning the lab origins of the coronavirus, concerning the dangers posed by lockdowns, concerning the efficacy of vaccines, their failure to stop transmission, and many other issues. So we are now confronted with a situation where the European Commission, through the Digital Services Act, can now declare a crisis and pretty much go after the social media companies to pressure them to censor individuals who are going against the European Union's favored narrative. Whether that be on war, the war in the Ukraine, whether it be on some future pandemic or public health emergency, whatever that crisis might be. Not enough people know how dangerous the Digital Services Act is, and the European Parliament has failed abysmally in passing this act to protect the interests of citizens and to protect their liberties. Personally, I feel abandoned by my politicians, both national politicians and European politicians. And it is disheartening to see the European Commission championing the cause of censorship. With the Digital Services Act in place, the legal environment in Europe is going to be ever more hostile to free speech because it's a backdoor to allowing European bureaucracy to spread its tentacles inside the social media companies so that they can do their bidding. We've seen this already. We've seen it in the United States. We've seen how the US federal government was deeply complicit in the censorship that was going on in social media companies and was sending instructions to individuals in those companies to flag certain content, to censor certain content. What can we do about this? The first step is to wake up. The first step is just to realize what's happening and to spread the word, share this video, tweet about this, talk to your friends about this, because people's ability to speak freely on social media may very well be curtailed in the future under the Digital Services Act. If you enjoyed this video, you might check out my freedom blog at davidthunder.substack.com. Please do consider taking out a paid subscription if you'd like to support my work in defense of a free society. Both my YouTube and Substack channels are on the homepage of my Twitter account.